Welcome to the London School of English Live. In today's session, you will discover quintessentially British phrases that are used in colloquial speech. Our expert English language trainer, Emma Palmieri, here with us, will share examples and tell you more about the history of some of these phrases. And if you're new here, the London School of English is where you can choose a wide range of English courses targeted to your needs, from general, business, legal English, and IELTS. You can find out more by visiting our website. And in fact, we have recently launched our spoken English classes. And here with us today, we have our Director of Sales and Marketing, Joe Burns, who will tell you more about these classes before we get into the main content. And Joe also has another exciting announcement to make. So just to remind you that this live stream is meant to be very interactive, so please share your comments and questions in the live chat next to the video. Now I would like to welcome Emma and Joe. Great to have both of you here. And Joe, over to you for the information about our new courses and this announcement that we're going to make.
Thanks, Olga. Yes, I'm just really pleased to say that we're reopening the centre for classes in person on the 15th of March in London. So anyone who is already in the local area in London can come and stay and study with us in centre. Or if you're able to travel, we have all sorts of quarantine arrangements at our accommodation. But nonetheless, it's just lovely to think that we're all going to be back in the school again. Obviously, socially distanced, maintaining all sorts of safety things, but it's the idea of coming back to normal will be lovely. In the meantime, another exciting announcement, in case you didn't hear last week, is that we have a new kind of course for busy people who want to practice their conversation. So here we are for busy people. So this is on Tuesday and Thursday evenings for 90 minutes per session. So you book 1 week for 3 hours, or however many weeks you like, but 1 week is 3 hours with a little bit of homework on the Wednesday. And this is so that you have more speaking time, more time as a group to chat. So the trainer will give you guided classes. The first kind of course is on business English conversation. That's our first focus. So we look forward to seeing how people feel about those.
Great. Thank you very much, John. It's really great to know that our center is reopening, and we hope to see our viewers, our clients, our alumni back. So now, Emma, great to have you with us today, again, back, and over to you for the main content about British slang.
Thank you very much, Olga, and welcome everybody to this live stream. When you come to London, one of the things you notice is sometimes the way people speak English in the pub and around London is not necessarily how you've learned English in your classroom back home in your course book. People use lots of other words, informal words, very, very commonly in conversation. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. The kind of words that people use when they're with their friends, when they're with their colleagues, when they're with people they know well. Hopefully, at the end of this, you'll know 20 very useful phrases and you'll be able to understand people a lot more easily. Okay, now to kick us off, we've got a nice conversation in the pub, okay? So let's have a look at the conversation between 3 men in a pub, Len, Barry, and Martin. Okay, so we start with Len. He sees his friend Barry across the room. He says, "Barry, how are you doing?" Barry replies, "Fine, thanks, mate. You?" "Can't complain, Barry. Can't complain." "Hey, Martin, budge up. Make some space for Barry." "Cheers, Len. Where's Trevor?" "I don't know, and it's his turn to get around in. Typical Trev." "I think he's just gone to spend a penny. What do you fancy?" "Just a pint of the usual. Cheers." Now, in this typical London conversation between these 3 men, there are 5 phrases which I've highlighted in red. And I would like you to look at them, please, and to tell me, what do you think they mean? If you're explaining them to somebody, what might you say? Can you think of another word which is similar in meaning? Can you think how you might use this expression? What do you think? So first of all, budge up. Len says this when he comes to the table. His friends are sitting around the table. He arrives and says to one of his friends, budge up, make some space for Barry. What do you think budge up might mean? Any ideas? No? That's nice in Italian. Thank you, Federico. I think you're actually right. It means move over, make some space, okay? So make some extra space on a seat for a person. So your friend comes over and say, oh, it's fine, we'll budge up, we'll make some space for you so you can sit down next to us, okay? So it's a nice friendly way to say either budge up, make some space for me, or we will budge up. So we'll budge up, we'll make some space for you. So yeah, so that was what it means, budge up. So that's the first one. Second one, very, very common, cheers. Now I tell you now, cheers has two meanings, okay? Two meanings, okay? Here, it might mean something different from how you might think it, what you might think it means. What do you think cheers means? Any ideas? I think that's one of the meanings, Andrea. You're right. So cheers is one thing you say when you've got drinks, okay? So imagine this isn't tea, it's wine. And this isn't water, it's also wine or beer or something. You might go, cheers, to say like sort of, you know, as in, let's drink together, to celebrate together, cheers. That's one meaning of the word cheers. Here, in this conversation, and very, very commonly in the UK, especially London, cheers is a synonym for thank you, thanks. So here, Barry is saying cheers because they're making space for him. So he's saying thanks. And this is very, very, very common in the UK. So if somebody holds the door open for you when you go through, cheers. If you say, oh, can you give me some water, please? And they give it to you, cheers. Okay, so it's an informal way of saying thanks, cheers, as well as happy drinks time. Okay, so that is cheers. Also connected to drinks is the next phrase, okay? When Len says, where is Trevor? I don't know, and it's his turn to get around in, okay? It's related to drinks and also a bit of British pub culture to get around in. I don't know if this is something that is similar in your country or not, but do you have any idea of what it might mean? It's his turn, so it's his time to get around in. What is around and what does it mean to get around in? Any idea? Very good, Kwaku, you got the previous one. Cheers is thanks. Any idea what to get around in might mean? Yes, Andrea, you're right. Okay, so you said he went to get some beer for everybody. That's absolutely true. So to get around in means that you go to the bar and you buy beer or a drink for everybody in your group, okay, and it's your round. So I buy drinks for my friends. It's very expensive in a London pub, you might imagine. I come back with all the drinks. Everybody's my friend. I give the drinks to everybody. That's my round. Next, it's my friend Alice's round. And Alice goes to the bar, she buys drinks for everybody again and gives them to everybody. Okay, so we take it in turns to buy around. Okay, next we have maybe connected to the idea of drinking a lot. What happens next? Okay, Martin says, I think he's just gone to spend a penny. Okay, to spend a penny. Any ideas what it might mean? So after drinking a lot of beer, What might you need to do? Any ideas at all? Spend a penny. You're absolutely, Andrea. You're absolutely right. Once more, yes, he went to the toilet. So to spend a penny is an informal phrase. It's slang for going to the toilet. Okay, so yes, it's another useful expression. I will explain the historic origins of that one in a second. But before I do, I'll go on to the last one in our conversation that was highlighted, which is fancy. Fancy as a verb. So Martin says, I think he's just gone to spend a penny. What do you fancy? And Len says, just a pint of the usual. Cheers. Okay. Any ideas what fancy might mean? See if Andrea, you can get it again, or somebody else. Any ideas? What do you fancy? Yes, what do you fancy? It means what do you like? Okay, Andrea, you're on fire. Okay, what do you like? So fancy, and Federico, well done, Federico. Yes, what do you want? Okay, very, very common. What do you fancy? You go to a restaurant, Daniel, well done. So like sort of, you go to a restaurant, maybe sit down, you look at the menu, you go, what do you fancy? I don't know, maybe a steak, maybe something a bit different, you know. So what do you fancy means what would you like? Okay. Right, so these are 5 useful expressions very commonly used in British English informally when talking with friends. And as you can see from this conversation, very commonly used words aren't necessarily always taught in a formal English classroom. We have to know a little bit of slang as well when we're in London, when we're surrounded by native speakers. We use a lot of slang in formal expressions, and they're quite colourful expressions that don't often make a lot of sense if you take them word by word. You need to learn them as a group, like spend a penny. You need to learn that as a group of words, as an expression. As I said, spend a penny, it's got historical origins. Actually, in the past, you had to pay to use a public toilet. Still now, sometimes you do need to pay, but a lot more than a penny. But in the past, it was 1 penny to use the public toilet. So instead of saying go to the toilet, people thought that was too direct. They wanted to be a bit more indirect, because I thought that was more polite. And so therefore they said to spend a penny to pay for the public toilet, but it sounded somehow better. Okay, so this expression to spend a penny comes from that time when we had to pay to use the public toilet, and a penny. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you some more English slang phrases and expressions. So when you come to London and you experience our culture, you will be fully prepared and to join in with a classic bit of British banter. And banter is informal, humorous conversation. Banter, informal, humorous conversation. Okay, so let's look at another context, this time between 2 women going to work, Monica and Denise. Okay, how many of these highlighted expressions do you know? First of all, Monica, how was your weekend, Denise? Denise replies, oh, you know, bog standard really, can't complain. You? Monica says, not great. My phone got nicked. Oh no, that's terrible. Yes, and sod's law, I only bought it last month. If they nicked my old one, I wouldn't have cared. Oh, you must be gutted. Yeah, I was. But now, well, these things happen. I guess I could claim on insurance, but it's such a faff. Okay, so there are 5 words here highlighted in red. Do you know any of these expressions? This time, to make it easier for you, I've written some explanations or like some definitions of these words at this side, but not in the right order. Of course not. So at this time, I would like you to match the expression to the definition on the right side of the page. Okay, see how you do. So bog standard, let's look at bog standard first. Which of these definitions do you think matches bog standard? Be stolen, this is typical and annoying, time consuming and complicated work, strongly disappointed or upset, or normal, nothing special. Which do you think is the best match for the expression bog standard? Any ideas? Well done. Okay, 2 of you got it. Fantastic. Okay, normal. And it's slightly negative. It just means bog standard. You know, it's how's your beer? Bog standard. Normal. I'm not going to get excited. It's not terrible. It's just normal. Okay. So bog standard just shows you're not very excited. It's normal. Nothing special. Okay. So weekend, bog standard. I went to the supermarket, walked around. It was all right. Nothing terrible happened, but nothing exciting, I think. Okay, the next one we have is got nicked. Got nicked. Okay, this is a verb expression. In this case, the lady's, Monica's phone got nicked. Okay, so what do you think it might mean? It's obviously something bad because Denise says, oh no, that's terrible. Well done, okay. Super fast, okay. My phone got nicked, okay. My phone was stolen, okay, in that situation, okay. And very good, be stolen, be is often written informally as got, okay, in the passive. So got nicked was stolen. Very good. Monica replies, yes, and this is a bit more difficult, this one. Sod's law, I only bought it last month. If they'd nicked my old one, I wouldn't have cared. So sod's law, I only bought it last month. If they nicked my old one, I wouldn't have cared. So this is especially frustrating in this case. So what do you think it might mean? Sod's law from the definitions down the side. Hello, Metcalf. What do you think it might mean, sod's law? Which one is it? Which one is it? It's not upset. This is harder, isn't it? Yes. It actually means sod's law. This is typical and annoying. Adriana, well done. Okay. This is typical and annoying. Okay. Sod's law. So, for example, you're having breakfast in your kitchen. You've got a slice of delicious toast. You're buttering it. You drop it. What side does it land on? Always the butter side, okay? So it gets the dirt stuck onto it. Sod's law, isn't it? It always happens like that, and it's always annoying. Sod's law, okay? Or maybe you've got a quiet social life at the moment because of the virus, so we're all at home, okay? So you are invited to a party. You're very, very excited online, you know, meeting your friends. That'd be really great. And then you realise that the date of the party is the same date that you've booked to talk to your mum about something. I'm thinking of all the days I'm doing nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the same day my friends want to meet up, I'm Skyping my mum. Okay, sod's law. Of all the days you could have chosen, it's that one. Okay, the only one I can't do. So it's frustrating. I think just typical. Something goes wrong in a very annoying way. Very, very good. Okay, let's look at the next one. Gutted. So Denise said, in this case, okay, they've nicked my new phone. If only it nicked my old one, it wouldn't have mattered, but they've nicked my new one. I'm very upset. And Denise says, yes, you must be gutted. So what do we think gutted might mean? Any ideas? Yes, Daniel, you're right. Disappointed. Okay, gutted. Okay, it's strongly disappointed or upset. Well done. Okay, gutted. So actually, gutted refers to your stomach. Okay, so it's like when you've got like a pain in your stomach, you think, oh, you're gutted. It's like that. Like you're really upset. You like emotionally it hits you in the stomach. Okay. So you're strongly disappointed, upset. When you realise, oh, my iPhone 11 is no longer in my bag, it hits you in the stomach. You're gutted, okay? You're very upset, okay? And the last one, if he said, when Monica says, I was gutted, but now these things happen, I could claim on insurance, but it's such a faff. You have to go online. You need to find your original documents. You need to put in an application. You need to ring them. Oh, therefore, which one does it match to? The only one we've got left. A faff is another way of saying time-consuming and complicated work. Again, Daniel, well done. Time-consuming and complicated work. It is a faff. And usually, I have to say, it implies that you won't do it. Oh, it's a faff. I don't really want to do it. It's just like, forget about it. Okay, it's too much work. Very, very good. Okay, Tomek as well. Well done. Well done. Okay, so those are 10 useful expressions you could use in everyday conversations. We're now going to look at 10 more before we finish with a little test or quiz. I prefer quiz. Quiz is a lighter, more positive word, isn't it? Before we have a little quiz. So 10 more, and then we have a little quiz to see how much you remember. Okay, so let's look at 10 more. My top 10 of British informal expressions. Okay, let's start with number 10. Number 10 is something we like very much, biscuits, okay? And the expression is, take the biscuit. This is an expression you use to show you find something especially irritating or annoying. So maybe there are lots of things that annoy you about, for example, your boss or your sister, or your job, but there's one thing which is makes you say enough. That makes me want to stop. That thing takes the biscuit, okay? So in the example I've got here with take the biscuit, it says, I know the boss demands a lot from his team, but when he asked me to work all the weekend, that really took the biscuit. Okay, so I just think, he's annoying in many ways, but that really was too much. Okay, it makes me, maybe I handed in my notice. I resigned because that took the biscuit. That was just too much. That was so annoying. Okay, the next one, a bit more positive. Bob's your uncle, and Bob's your uncle. I like that one. It's quite a bouncy little expression, that one. This is an expression you use after describing a process. So you're saying this thing and this thing and this thing, and Bob's your uncle comes at the end of the process. And it means that the process is actually quite easy. It's quite simple, so you don't need to worry about it. How do you make your phone work? You press this button, slide it to the side, and Bob's your uncle is working. So it shows it's simple, it's really easy. You don't need to worry about it, okay? So for example, to open your email, press this button, select mail, and Bob's your uncle, okay? It just means, and you're there, and you've done it, and you don't need to worry about it anymore. So it's super easy. So it just means, and you've done it, congratulations. The story behind this expression, actually, Bob's your uncle, comes from 200 years ago, really, when Prime Minister Robert Gascoigne, Bob for short, okay, chose his unpopular nephew, Arthur Balfour, for an important government position, okay? People didn't like this because he wasn't a very good politician. And they believed that Arthur had only got the job because his uncle, Bob, was Prime Minister. So therefore, it came to mean, Bob's your uncle, life is easy for you because your uncle is Prime Minister, okay? So it means, and it's easy. And of course, it's like that. Okay, so now it means, oh, and you've done it, and well, you know, and it's finished, but it comes from that historical story. Okay, the next one is a nice positive one, this one. The bee's knees. Isn't that a beautiful image? The knees of a bee, very, very small. And it actually means that you think it's the best one available of its kind. So this is a lovely example. She thinks John is the bee's knees. She adores him. She's so in love. She thinks that John is the best possible man of all the men that she could have. Okay. Or you might say, this coffee, it's a bee's knees. It means like, oh, it's the best coffee in the world. I don't know, it's won all sorts of awards. It's served in Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. It's the best coffee available. So the bee's knees means it's the best of its kind. Next one, a very British expression and also a very British thing to have. Another word for an umbrella is a brolly. A brolly. You can kind of see how we got to brolly from umbrella. It's a sort of slight adaptation of that last part of the word, isn't it? And definitely when in the UK, summer, winter, autumn, spring, carry a brolly with you at all times because you never know when it's going to rain in the UK. The weather is quite unpredictable, I would say. Okay, next one. Flog. Flog. This is just another term for sell. Okay, it actually means to hit hard. The idea of maybe you're selling lots of things, you're hitting it really hard, you're being quite aggressive maybe in your sales manner, but it just means to sell something. So for example, there are lots of websites nowadays where you can flog your own stuff and make some money. Okay, you might know some of those sites. Okay. Number 5, again related to money. This time it means to buy something extra nice as a treat for yourself. So not something that normally you would buy, but something extra special as a luxury. So for example, we saved some money on the meal. Okay, we were careful. So we splashed out on a really nice bottle of wine. Okay. Or you could say something like, maybe this year, because of everything that's been happening for the last 12 months, we're going to splash out on a luxury holiday, okay? We're not going to try to save any money. We're going to go on a world cruise, okay? We're just going to treat ourselves to a fantastic holiday. Number 4, this one, quid. This is so common, you would not believe. We don't often say, well, I personally don't often even say pound. I just say quid, for example. This cost me 70 quid, okay? Or this watch cost me 100 quid, or whatever, okay? Notice a grammatical point here that even when it's more than one, we never say quids. We always say 70 quid, 100 quid, 5 quid. We don't say 5 quids, okay? It's always just quid. Now we're into our top 3, okay? Now, one of my favorite expressions of all time, take the mickey or take the mick. This is an informal way to say make fun of, okay? So to take the mickey, to take the mick. Often when you're with friends, as I said, these expressions you use with friends, with colleagues, people you know well. And quite often when you're with people you know well, you're teasing each other, you're making jokes about each other. So in this case, maybe if you've had to cut your hair at home, and it hasn't been so successful, if your friend says to you, I love your hair, and you're like going, what? Are you taking the mick? It looks awful. It's like, are you making fun of me? Are you taking the mick? It's very, very common, okay? To make fun of people. As you know, British people are famous for their sense of humour, and very often they are always making jokes with their friends and their colleagues and their family. Okay, we've got down to our last 2 now. Number 2, again, very, very common expression, bloke. Bloke. Be careful of pronunciation here. Bloke. This means a man, bloke. For example, James is a really nice bloke. Again, very, very common. We don't really often say man. Well, we do say man, but bloke is used a lot to say man. Another variation of bloke is if you go to the north of England or to Scotland, you might hear people say lad. This is very common in the north of England and in Scotland. Lad to mean young man, young bloke. And for a woman in Scotland and northern England, lass, lass. So lass for a woman and lad for a man. People will understand you in London if you use these terms as well, but you will notice them especially in northern England and in Scotland. Finally, we're down to our number one. So what is my top word or slang expression? It is dodgy. I love this word. You can use it in almost any context, okay? You can use it, it's an adjective, and you can use it to describe more or less anything that you think is not reliable, something you need to be careful about, something you can't trust 100%, okay? It could be a piece of furniture, a person, a website, okay? It could be almost anything. So for example, I ate some dodgy seafood and I was ill all night, okay? So maybe it was a little bit old, it wasn't so fresh, it made me ill. So in that sense, couldn't be trusted. I wouldn't invest with that company if I were you. They look really dodgy, okay? I think, maybe you need to check their details and make sure that, because I think maybe you lose your money, okay? Or you might say a place could be a bit dodgy. If you go to some train stations at night, maybe you need to be a little bit careful because sometimes, these places can be a bit dodgy, okay? Or a park maybe late at night. You need to be careful. Right, so that is my top 20 slang expressions. Let's now see how many we can remember, okay? Let's see if we can choose the correct option in these sentences. Let's have a look. Okay, so number one, my sister keeps on saying we should change internet providers. I think she's right, but it's such a, I really can't be bothered. So, what's the missing word? Is it brolly, faff, or bloke? What do you think? Brolly, faff, or bloke? Well done, Andrea, you're on fire again. Faff, you are correct, okay? I can't be bothered is the key thing. Oh, it's too much work, let's forget it. It's too much faff. Oh. Okay, number two. What do you fancy, flog, or splash out doing for dinner tonight? Pizza? What do you think? What do you fancy, flog, or splash out doing for dinner tonight? Very good. It is fancy. So what do you want, okay? What do you want for dinner tonight, okay? Flog, remember flog means sell. So unless you're a restaurant, maybe if you're a restaurant, then maybe you might say that would be the right word. But no, for most people, what do you want to choose for dinner tonight? What do you fancy for dinner tonight, okay? What do I fancy for dinner tonight? Maybe sushi. I'll think about it. Number three. I don't think we should go to that bar late at night. That bar, it's not good. It's a bit dodgy or bog standard. What do you think would be the right one? If I don't feel safe, I think, some of the guys who go there maybe have a bit too much to drink. Oh, well done, Andrea. Yes, it is dodgy. And Tomic. You're super fast at the moment. Well done. Okay, yes. Dodgy, yes. Dodgy, definitely. I wouldn't go there. Number four. Here, we're in street in London. We're asking for directions. Okay, and Cecilia, well done. Not dodgy. Yes. Okay, so number four, we're in the street asking for directions. The tube station, tube, another bit of slang in here. London Underground, we refer to as the tube, okay? The tube station, the London Underground station. Anyway, where is it? Oh, it's really close, really close. Go down there, turn left, and you're taking the Mick, you're taking the biscuit, or Bob's your uncle. What's the best way to finish this? Turn left, and you're taking the Mick, you're taking the biscuit, or Bob's your uncle. What's the best option? Tomek, well done. Bob's your uncle. Okay, super easy. Okay, you do this, and Bob's your uncle. Easy, isn't it? You know, you finished, you're done. Well done. Okay. Oh, lovely picture, Cecilia. Okay, right. Finally, number 5. You're doing terribly well here. Let's see if we can finish on a high. Lovely expression. I'll get you a coffee. What do you reply? I'll get you a coffee. You say cheers or I'm gutted. What do you think would be the most normal thing to say in this situation? I'll get you a coffee. Cheers or I'm gutted. Well done. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Okay, thanks. And cheers to you for following this live stream. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope that if you review this, practice your English with us, Bob will be your uncle and you will learn perfect English and be able to use it every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emma, for such an amazing live stream and so many amazing exercises. And it's really great to see our viewers really kind of trying the answers and all of the correct answers that are coming along.
Really well. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's been quite a lot to cover, but we hope that it helped you to spoken English and the knowledge of British slang. And just to address a few, and we've got some really nice comments already here from Kwaku, from Mei Huang, from Tomek, Andrea, well done, really great answers. And just before we, as usual, we prepared a few questions to both Emma and Joe, but I just want to address a couple of questions that came in during the live stream. So one of the questions was, I think, from Tomek. Let's just have a quick look. Who asked a question about one of the expressions. First of all, Tomek is saying that there's a TV show called Flog It.
Indeed, yeah. I was selling things.
Yes, and also Tomek is asking a question about prepositions. So Emma, would you like to?
Prepositions, big topic, isn't it, Tomek? Yeah, but yes, to take the mickey of somebody, okay, or even out of somebody, okay, both of those would be acceptable. Take the mickey out of somebody.
Great. Yeah, fantastic. And even though we do have just a little bit of time left from this live stream, do share with us if you have any questions. If we can answer them, we will very quickly. And if not, we will try to answer them after the live stream in the comments next to the video. But meanwhile, I would just like to take this opportunity that Joe joined us and ask Joe and Emma, of course, in terms of the rules of using slang in English. Is there anything that our viewers should be aware of?
Well, maybe I should say that the first thing is, as I said, this is something you'll hear British native speakers using a lot. It's informal language, but British native speakers. So be aware that if you're speaking to somebody whose English is very good but come from another country, they might not be aware of some of these phrases. So first of all, be aware of that. And secondly, also, I think, like most informal English, I would say, first of all, learn them so you understand them. So, you know what these expressions mean now. When you meet British people, see if they use them. I would say almost definitely they'll use at least 3 or 4 of these, and even quite a brief conversation. Quid, bloke, as I said, we use them all the time. So when you hear people using them, that will give you a much better guide about the context we use them and the sort of the people we're speaking to and using them and the situations we're using them in. And then you feel free to use them back with that person. Okay, so like most informal English, I would say learn it first for comprehension so you understand it. And then when you hear people using it, you're much more likely to be using it correctly and appropriately with those people. None of these expressions are rude in any way. They're just informal. But some people use them more than others. So I say always be guided by other people. Joe?
I think the point about regional variation is important as well. As Emma says, if I might sometimes use the word lad and I'm from London, but it is much more common in the north or in Scotland or Ireland, for example. And potentially, I mean, American people don't use the same slang. They say that we are divided by a common language. So they might not understand words like quid. If you decide, oh, this is my lovely English slang, they might not understand what you're talking about either. So it is, Emma's right, it is definitely about context.
Great. We actually have some comments as well. Leandro is saying, biggest respect to the British people, nice people.
Ah.
Thank you. Thank you, Leandro. Another question about context. When it comes to business conversations and communication, what would you recommend? Should our clients use slang if they talk to their British business partners or colleagues?
Probably just, again, it's wait and be guided by the company that you're in and make absolutely sure that you definitely understand the meaning of what it is that you're saying. Or, but it's particularly important at work not to make any mistakes in that way, I would say. So just wait and see what the tone is. Sometimes you might be, for example, Olga and we work in the same office together. So I might say all sorts of things that I might not say in the company of my boss. It's not true, actually. I'm quite rude to my boss. But there are things I might say to her that is an informal conversation at work. But if she and I were in a bigger business meeting, I might not use those expressions in front of everybody else. So just think about what is or isn't appropriate, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Emma, would you like to add anything to this?
No, I agree with everything Joe said. I think it's a very, like many cultural things, it's very difficult sometimes to know exactly what's appropriate and where, and to get the right feel for that. So yeah, guided by like sort of what other people use when native speakers, and just use it. I think for comprehension, this is how I think it's most useful. So when you're with your British colleagues, and they say, "Oh, I think we need a brolly today," it's probably because the sky is grey, they think it's going to rain. But understanding, oh, brolly, umbrella, okay, they want me to take an umbrella out or something. Or they say, oh, your boss is such a nice bloke, and go, oh, I know what a bloke is, it just means a man. Okay, so it's just for understanding it first, and then I think in time when's the best word to use and when's the best time to use these expressions.
Great. And one last question. Unfortunately, we need to wrap up this live stream, but of course, anything to do with slang is spoken English. So, Joe and Emma, how do our courses help improve spoken English? And what would you, if this is one particular area, for example, informal English or spoken English, what would you recommend to our viewers? Some of whom are alumni, some of whom are partners. What would you say?
I think just the fact that we have small groups is really helpful because everybody has the opportunity to practice their spoken English. It's a question we get asked a lot, is will I have the chance to talk in a group of 20, 30 people? No, probably not. But in our classes, we only have 4 to 8 people, 10 in a large IELTS group, but that's the biggest it ever gets. We normally have about 4 or 5 people in a group. So everybody has the chance to practice and make sure that they're using things correctly. And we use a communicative method as well. So people aren't corrected all the way through, it's make sure that you're confident and you're comfortable speaking, and then we'll correct afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's about providing people with the confidence to speak. I think the fact that the classes, there's such friendly students and teachers all together, people feel comfortable to talk. And maybe in situations, maybe at work or where they're worried about giving a presentation or participating in a meeting, it's like, okay, well, let's rehearse this, let's practice this. Why do you feel nervous? Let's practice this, and give you the opportunity to try it through and to build that confidence. And then your teacher say at the end, you did really well. Maybe you can improve in this way here. We can look at this. But that feedback's given at the end and your confidence is up and you feel ready then to move on to the next step of actually doing that, giving that presentation with that an extra bit of va-va-voom that you have from the course.
Great. Fantastic. And we've got, just as we mentioned at the beginning, if you would like to know more about our courses, you can visit our website, londonschool.com, and there's a whole range of different courses that you can try, including our new spoken English classes. And you can contact us via clients@londonschool.com if you've got any questions related to this. There's one more comment from one of our viewers. Taher says that he hopes that some of our upcoming live streams will also cover idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs. Taher, we have a whole bunch of new live streams coming up. So yes, please do subscribe to the channel, and you will find out more about our program. Of course, I would like to say great thank you for sharing your time to all of our viewers who join us today. And Emma and Joe, as it is tradition, if you can share a few encouraging words to anyone who's joining us and who is learning English, what would you say this time?
I'd say that everybody seems really to be learning very fast. Every time I come and I see the answers, everybody's so enthusiastic and their answers are coming quickly. You all seem to have a really good grip on what it is that Emma's trying to teach you. I think it's very encouraging. You're all doing very well.
Yeah, I would say sort of sometimes, it's, it can be difficult to keep your motivation up, but celebrate small successes. So, you've done really well here. Well done. Feel good about that. And, learn sort of just a few words a day. So try to break your learning into small chunks, I think, and celebrate those successes. And that's one really good way to feel that you're moving forward and making progress.
That's great advice, Joe and Emma. And thank you so much for your time and your advice and all of the information that you shared with us today. We hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are in the world, to all of our viewers. And we hope to see you soon, either online or face-to-face if you are in London or if you're planning to come to London. Take care and keep learning English. Bye-bye.
Bye.